So let me start by asking you this question. Which of these five emotions best describes how you feel when asked the question, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Well, if you say confident and calm, well, I want to know your secret. But if you say uncertain, confused, anxious, well, you're not alone. I think in these changing times, we all find ourselves questioning, reimagining, and reinventing our careers. 25 years ago, it felt so different. I thought when I first started my career that my path forward was clear and well defined. I was a young woman with a natural ability for math and problem solving, and it had led me down the engineering path. And growing up in India, it was a natural and expected choice for a person who did well in the sciences. You know, I had a clear plan. When I graduated, I would find a great company and make my way up that career ladder. So I got a great education in a field that would pay me well. I graduated at the top of my class. I got recruited by a very reputable company and into their leadership program. I mean, I was on my way to down that clear and well-defined path that I had defined for myself. You know how the saying goes, right? Man plans and God laughs. Or in this case, woman plans and God laughs. Because looking back at the last 25 years, my career, I think, looks more like this. A few twists and turns, a couple dead ends, and a couple U-turns, more like the random, unsteady steps of a drunkard's walk than the deliberate steps up a corporate ladder. My name is Anjali Leon. I am founder and principal of PPL Coach. It's a boutique coaching and consulting practice that offers value-driven and values-based experiential workshops and programs, innovative co-created solutions, and professional coaching in the areas of product, people, and personal leadership. I bring design thinking and lean and agile ways of working and a coaching stance to my offerings. But my joy and fulfillment really comes from helping people and organizations learn to navigate an increasingly uncertain and changing world. And that's why I'm here today. Through the story of my own career journey, I hope to share some insights that I've gained about navigating a career amidst accelerating change. And I hope that it'll inspire your own journey as you reimagine careers for the, or as you reimagine your career for this age of accelerations. This is Ariana. Ariana is my daughter. She graduated from university last year with a degree in event management. And a couple of months after she graduated, she landed her first real job, one that she absolutely loved. And my husband and I are so proud of her. I can still vividly recall her college orientation event that my husband and I attended. That day, it solidified for me that we have to think about our careers very differently. Sitting in that auditorium with a couple thousand other parents, the advisors of the university helped us become very aware that our kids would be preparing for careers for a world very different from the one that we had experienced. The advisor said, by the time your kids are 10 years into their career, half of them will be doing jobs that have not been conceived of yet. And another half of the jobs of today will not exist. They were setting some clear expectations that our kids' college experience would be less about gaining the skills that would prepare them for a 40-year-long career and more a preparation for the critical thinking, problem solving, and lifelong learning skills that they would need to navigate a yet unscripted future. As parents, they told us, we needed to shift our roles from advisors to coaches. We could not advise them on something that was still emergent. We needed to help them uncover and tap into their full potential. I was already an Agile coach by then. And I found this advice quite amusing because I was seeing this in our corporate world. But as a protective mom, I was thinking, I'm glad she picked a career in events. Though it's really hard work, it's a perennial job. And she could probably find a long career in it. Well, this past March, she was furloughed, and in June, she was laid off. And she finds herself putting those important critical thinking, problem solving, and lifelong learning skills to use much earlier than she expected. Such is the reality of the age of accelerations. So you might be wondering, what do I mean by the age of accelerations? I'm sure you'll all agree that the last 4 decades have brought on unprecedented change. This curve represents the rate of change of technology. It's an exponential curve. The rate of change is increasing exponentially. We all recognize this type of curve by now, and not fondly, I might add. We see a similar curve in understanding the spread of COVID-19 and gone unchecked. Did you know similar exponential curves exist for the rate of change in globalization and global markets, environmental factors like climate change, and now things like pandemics as well? And these changes are happening at a faster and faster rate, and all at once. I'm sure you'll agree, accelerating change is not fun. Sure, if you have written in a Tesla and gone from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, it can be a pretty exciting experience. But whether it is an airplane takeoff, or an accelerating car, or a roller coaster ride, it comes with some level of fear and anxiety. And I don't think any of us is comfortable with unsustained accelerating change. So imagine experiencing accelerating change and never getting to a cruising altitude or speed. What would this do to us humans? So we have had an up close and personal look at this with COVID-19 over the last few months, right? Thomas Friedman, in his book, Thank You for Being Late, An Optimist's Guide to Thriving in the Age of Accelerations, illustrates what might be happening. So this curve here shows the rate of change in technology in the blue line. And the black line represents the rate of human adaptability to change. So as you can see, we have clearly reached a point where the rate of technological change is outpacing our natural human adaptability. There's no wonder that it raises feelings of uncertainty, confusion, and anxiety. We are not made for sustained exponential change, yet we find this in multiple facets of our lives. About 10 years ago, I started noticing the toll of these changes. First, it was on the people I was interviewing for mid-level positions. Many of these were mid-career people looking for new opportunities after long careers doing some very specialized work in their organizations. They came in for interviews, and when they came in, they were spent, or they looked spent. Their expert skills in very narrow areas just did not translate to the context of our organization and our business. And I could see that they sensed it, because there was anxiety and uncertainty and a sense of kind of diminished confidence in their eyes. Then I started noticing the impact of this change on myself, my own emotions and confidence. For years, my C++ skills were in high demand. And now my once shiny new skills were becoming dated. And I tried to keep up with the latest technologies. Back then, if you recall, it was C# and Windows presentation framework, .NET libraries, design patterns, and for me, imaging libraries for the work that I was doing. And the more I learned, the more there was to learn. And now this process was getting a little painful. It was no longer energizing me. to learn these new topics. I found myself feeling inadequate, next to the much younger software engineers who seemed to be just kind of naturals at it. And for a person who once felt at the top of her game, this was an unfamiliar feeling. I recall one day, about the third of the way to the office, I felt my anxiety growing once again. And this time, big tears started rolling down my eyes. I could not go into the office. I just could not bring myself to go into the office that day. So I made a U-turn, came back home, and called in a mental health day. That U-turn was reflective of a much bigger U-turn to come. I realized something had to change. The words of Jack Welch kept ringing in my ear. Control your destiny or someone else will. So I paused, took a deep breath, reassessed where I was going, realized that if I made a change, I would have to grapple with what it would mean for the six-figure salary that I had gotten used to and the team of coworkers that I absolutely loved. I started on an introspective journey. I started asking some new questions. And what I uncovered changed the trajectory of my life. And I hope it'll also help you navigate change that we're experiencing with agility and resilience. Like most people, I started my career asking these two questions, right? What can I get paid for that I'm also good at? Actually, I asked, what do I have the aptitude for that can get me paid really well? And that's what led me down the engineering path. And it served me really well for a while. And when things started changing faster and faster and faster, I realized that what I could get paid for kept changing, which meant that I had to keep getting good at something new. When continuous learning and curiosity are natural, because the topic and area interests you, learning can be fun and enjoyable and is welcome. But if you feel forced to learn a topic that does not interest you, it is energy depleting. In my case, I was starting to feel the latter. So I decided to put those two questions aside and ask a different question. What do I love to do? What motivates me? What fuels my energy? It took some self-awareness to get to the answers. I enrolled in a leadership program that did a lot of introspective work and several assessments to help me understand myself. Some things that I did try or did do were understanding my motivators. Management 3.0's Moving Motivators is a great tool for that. And to also understand my natural style, and things like the DISC profile or insights are a great tool for that. But I also realized in looking back at my career up to that point, there were some clues all along. And I did this exercise, and it's something that you could do at home as well. I mapped out all the positions that I had held. On the vertical axis, I represented an increase in status or pay. And on the horizontal axis, a change in role or company. And I noticed some patterns emerging. Higher status and pay didn't always translate to things that I was naturally good at. But in looking back at my career up to that point, I noticed that there were clues all along. So here's something that I did that you could try as well. I mapped out all the positions that I had held till that date. On the vertical axis represented an increase in status of pay. The horizontal axis represented a change in role or company. And then I asked myself, which of these were peak experiences in my career? And what about these made them peak experiences for me? Interestingly, just status or pay, were not reflective of peak experiences. So what I uncovered, what I noticed brought me the most energy, was inspiring and motivating people, creating shared understanding, solving problems, creating connection between people, connecting people to the meaning behind the work that they were doing. And I noticed that I was doing all of this even as a software engineer. That's what really, the joy was in seeing the light bulbs go on for people. I was really motivated by creating those light bulb moments. So I wonder, what is it for you? What do you love? What motivates you? What fuels your energy? Next, I asked, what am I naturally good at? What are my skills? What are my strengths? Here, I got some insights from Gallup's Strengths Finder and in getting feedback from my colleagues and people I reported to and who reported to me. They were able to reveal through some 360 feedback assessments some of my blind spots. Again, there were clues in my career journey all along. And asking the questions, what skills was I using when I was having those peak experiences, gave me similar insights. And what I realized is that I had a natural ability to see patterns and future trends. I had great math and creative problem solving skills. And that is what had led me down the engineering path. But what I was also really good at was listening, teaching, mentoring, developing people. And the Strengths Finder revealed that my superpower was connection. The intersection of the answers to these two questions, what I love, what do you love, and what are you naturally good at, is what uncovers your passion. I was realizing that my passion lay more with interacting with people than technology. What about you? What is your passion? What do you love to do and are naturally good at? This is the thing about passion. You know, the Confucius saying, do what you love and you'll never work another day in your life. And it's because work will not feel like work when you are passionate about what it is that you do. Curiosity and continuous learning are just become natural. Working on things that you're passionate about makes you a source of creativity. But if you stop at just discovering and following your passion, you might easily end up being a starving artist. So you must ask a third question, as I did. What can I get paid for? What do others value that needs what I love and what I'm good at? You know, in the age of accelerations, this is the difficult question to answer because it's a moving target. And what we need to do is to become aware, keep our eyes open on the trends, and take initiative to discover new areas and learn new things. And we'll open up opportunities to find things that we can do, what we love and what we're good at, and get paid for as well. So let's look at some of the trends are saying. So we might be able to expect and what we might be able to expect to see in the next decade. So our businesses and organizations have also been working really hard in responding to these accelerating changes and trends. So we are familiar with a lot of these attempts. Many of us are part of these attempts. Digital transformation journeys, for example, bringing in automation and cloud-based technology into our work world, relying a lot on data and analytics to make decisions, replacing manual and physical tasks with robots or robotic process automation, augmenting human capability with artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. and then tapping into a global workforce. All of these in attempts to bring the cost of change down. Only interestingly, all of these are making those hockey stick curves of change even steeper. And it's having unintended consequences on us, the workforce. We're already seeing the repeatable mass market solutions and manual jobs being replaced by automation and robots. But additionally, there's another shift that's happening that is not yet so obvious. And we are starting to see jobs based on curated knowledge, precedent, and data like healthcare diagnoses, criminal sentencing, analytics and forecasting being replaced by artificial intelligence. It makes sense, you know. Machines are just better at processing large quantities of data. You know, think who is our expert for all of us these days? Google, right? And these will likely account for the 50% of jobs that will disappear. But there is good news. You know, there are also shifting trends in consumer preferences and needs. And these will likely contribute to the 50% of the jobs that have not yet been conceived. So technology and connectivity is resulting in more informed and savvy customers. And those customers are not looking for mass market solutions. They want niche, personalized products that address their needs and context. We can see this just looking at the apps on our phone. The list of apps is very likely a unique blend that solves your problem. And I'm sure if you find something that solves your problem in a better way, that you will quickly delete one of those apps and replace it with a new one. People are also wanting solutions that only charge them for what they consume. So for them to pay for only what they consume. Consumer trends are also seeing a shift in spending from physical products to experiences. And the more unique the experience, the better. We're also seeing savvy customers demand that our products and services attain sustainability and are more purpose-driven and purpose-focused. Responding to these customer needs will require capabilities that are uniquely human. Creativity, imagination, curiosity, social and emotional intelligence. And that's the good news. The new jobs of the future will require human capability. So these business and consumer trends are resulting in a shift in what we can expect in the workforce as well. So decades of obsession with efficiency and output is quickly shifting to a renewed attention on effectiveness and outcomes. We are seeing the shift in language in our organizations already. So to create these unique, personalized experiences for consumers, more value is going to start being placed on multidisciplinary versatilists over specialists, or a combination of specialists to create that collective experience. We will likely be spending less time on routine tasks, as those will be taken over by robots and robotic process automation, and spend more time on creative work, imagining these new experiences. People will likely contribute less as individual contributors and more as components of a cross-functional team or network. Humans will be nurtured more as sources of creativity and innovation rather than a commodity resource. And as a result, organizational leaders will have to support them less as managers and more as coaches. Titles will give way to roles. So let's take a peek at what these roles might look like. This is from an article from the Harvard Business Review, one model to think about the future of human work. And it places the future of human work roles into these three categories. Composers. These are the people who deeply understand the aspirations and needs of customers and can compose engaging and rewarding experiences for them. They love designing and discovering new things. And people who love designing and discovering new things will probably feel right at home in this role. Then you have the creators. And these are the people who can anticipate the rapidly changing needs of customers and design and deliver creative and tailored solutions that meet their needs. People who love to take an idea and make it real are the ones who will likely seek these roles. And then we have the coaches, people who support their customers in achieving their full potential. We're likely to see coaches in all forms. We're already seeing wellness coaches and sports and fitness coaches and career coaches. There might be gardening coaches and travel coaches, etc., etc., etc. And people who love helping people develop and show up as the best versions of themselves will naturally be attracted to this role. The thing I liked about this particular model from the Harvard Business Review is because it is something that we're seeing starting to emerge in our organizations already. For example, you think of the Scrum roles of product owner, team member, and Scrum master. They kind of nicely fall into these categories of composer, creator, and coach. Which of these most resonate with you? If you had to choose, what paid role would fulfill what you love and what you are good at? So for me, the search led me down the path of coach, and I continue to experiment and try new things and keep asking those three questions. And these days, I find myself contributing even more and being effective as a composer, creating learning and discovery experiences for my clients. When you find the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, and what you can get paid to do, well, you have found how to make your passion your profession. And a career in the age of accelerations is really a journey of continuous discovery of the intersection of these three questions. This becomes your North Star. I love this quote from Steve Jobs, and it says, "The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it." And don't be surprised if you find it in the most unexpected places. For me, it was in a bookstore at a church family camp one summer. It was the only Agile book in the bookstore. It happened to be Coaching Agile Teams by Lisa Atkins. And flipping through the pages of that book, I could see what my career would look like in the next years to follow. So I think it's pretty clear that the metaphor of the ladder is shifting. So what is the new metaphor? What image comes to mind as we look at your own career and the journey that lies ahead? I believe the new metaphor is a lattice, not a straight path up, but a series of self-selected steps, up, down, and sideways. So how do you navigate this lattice? Well, we're Agilists. We know how to do this. The first thing is to act. Like they say, just don't stand there, do something. So you might want to try something, learn something new in adjacent areas of your work, or maybe practice to get good at something that you're already doing. Or maybe experiment, try something completely outside your comfort zone. And then pause to check in with yourself. Assess. Did I love it? Am I good at it? Is it something that I can get paid to do? And then decide what you need to do next. Do you want to get more knowledge? Do you want to build more experience in it? Do you want to experiment with something new? So, what if you're here? You found something that you love and that you're good at. Now you need to find opportunities to get paid for it. The best way is to make other people aware of the skill that you have and your passion for it. So make sure you speak about it to whoever will listen. Sign up to do more of that kind of work in your organization. Perhaps try a side gig. Or if you're ready, then actually apply for a job that'll allow you to do more of what you love and what you're good at. And then what if you're here? You're good at it and you can get paid for it, but you don't love it or you no longer love it. Well, then this is where you need to try a new thing to discover what you love. So maybe try a new role in your organization or just try to fill in for someone when they're on vacation. Suggest a role swap or try something in your volunteer organization. This is where I did many of my experiments to figure out what it is that I really loved. And as you do these things, notice your level of energy. And what if you find yourself here? You're getting paid for something that you love, but you're not yet really good at it. Well, this is a really good place to be because from here you can learn and practice and pursue until you reach mastery. So, answering these three questions, what do I love? What am I good at? What can I get paid to do? Aligns nicely with the concept of ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese concept that means reason for being, the reason one gets up in the morning. And its origins lie in Okinawa, Japan, and is touted for the secret of their people's long life, long and happy life. Now, finding your ikigai, obviously, is a very personal undertaking, and it has to be a voluntary undertaking. But when you've answered these four questions, it is a true expression of your authentic self. Because once you find it, it's very interesting what happens. You find yourself on a curious and continuous learning journey, where, as philosopher Joseph Campbell said, doors will open where you did not know they were going to be. But it does require you to ask the fourth question. What does the world need of me? And there will come a point where you will ask this more profound question. What does the world need of me? What do I stand for? What impact can I create in the world? And based on what's happening today, I suspect that that question will come sooner rather than later. But don't get too distressed. As Howard Thurman says, you don't even have to ask what the world needs of you. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. And I hope that this, as you reimagine your career for the age of accelerations, that it is a journey that leads you to coming more alive. If you're interested in taking this understanding a step further and figure out how you can use the knowledge of what you love, what you're good at, and what you can get paid for, so that you can make the biggest impact, then I recommend that you take a look at the GC Index assessment. It is something that I offer. It measures your natural energy and proclivity to roles where you can contribute the best and make the biggest impact in an organizational context. So with that, thank you for listening, for being an engaged audience. I wish I was there in person so I could see all of your faces, but I hope that you'll reach out to me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, so we can continue this conversation. In the appendix, I've also included uh, 10 of my guiding principles that helped me navigate my career. Um, and I hope that you'll find some value in it as well. So I will pause here and take your questions.